Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight to the preview of ECAT 2.0. James Simbro, our systems administrator, will be hosting the meeting or be in charge of the meeting, and he'll show you all the cool new things and just kind of give you a tour. So on that note, I'll turn it over to James.
Hi. Good evening, everyone, or morning, wherever you are. I'd like to welcome you here to this preview. We're pretty excited to finally release this update. ECAT was originally launched in April of 2014, so it's been a good decade of the current system that's needed some refreshing and, more importantly, add a lot of features that people have asked for over the years. So we've done a lot of that, and I'll be demonstrating those new features and how we've changed some of the processes to help both our breeders and help staff here minimize errors and information getting done correctly. I'm going to try to speak slowly. I tend to rush things, so hopefully I won't go too fast for anybody. I do have notes here on my outline here to stop for questions occasionally. So after each section, I'll kind of pause and we can take some questions if there's anybody doesn't understand what we just went over. So with that, let me share my screen. See if I can do this right. Got to find the right one. Oh, actually, I think the problem is I've got the screen.
Because you've got all those, you have additional screens. That makes it confusing.
Yeah, three monitors. It's tricky here. So there we go. I think there we are.
Yep, that's it.
All right, great. So this is the new ECAT home screen. When you first log in, I will warn you, the first time you log into ECAT, you are going to need to reset your password. Passwords are encrypted. There's no way for us to move passwords over. So unfortunately, that's the process that has to be done. So the first time you log into ECAT, you will get a little message. It will send an email automatically to the email address you have on your profile on ECAT. In that email will contain instructions and it will have a temporary password. I recommend using copy paste to paste that password into the login screen because it is just a random generated password. So it's kind of hard just to remember it. The first time you use that password and log in, it will immediately ask you to set a new password. And there you can set it back to a password you're familiar with. It can be your old password that you had before, a new password. There are some requirements on the length and the complexity, but I don't think they're anything too outrageous. So you'll set the password when you first log in, and it will immediately log you in. So you'll be in there, and this is the first screen you will see. We've gone to a vertical menu on the left-hand side. This is to work with mobile devices. More and more people use their phones or tablets to do everything online, mainly phones. And this has been designed first and foremost with mobile view in mind. So everything resizes to a full screen and goes to a vertical setting where you have to scroll top to bottom to see the information. There are going to be some cases where you might need to scroll left to right, and that's with the ePoints reports, just because ePoints, there's no way to do that in a narrow format like a screen on a phone. So I'll show you some demos of that when we get to ePoints. So this is what it looks like in desktop mode. I can switch here real quick to mobile. And you can see here the menu becomes these three little dashes at the top. If you click on that, you get all of your options down the left-hand side here. Just click that to go away. Everything on the page then fits very nicely on a screen. You can just keep scrolling down to see everything. I'll go back to desktop view because it's a little easier for this demonstration. let's see, where are we on my list? Okay, when you log into eCat, into your current accounts, because we are going to migrate the accounts over, all your cats, your existing cats and litters that were all originally submitted through eCat will still be there. New, yeah, those will still be there. Your cattery should still be linked. Your cattery name should still be linked to your eCat account, but there is a chance that it may become unlinked. We're doing some data verification on the accounts to stop people from putting catteries on an eCat account that don't belong there. So we're doing some validation there. So it may get kicked off of there. You can relink the cattery to your account, and we can help you with that if that does occur. But I think most of them should link over fine. Are there, I don't know if we should pause. Any questions at this point? You see anything, Aline? Anybody?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Nice.
All right, great. Let's see here. Mobile views. So ePoints, we'll just show you real quick. Let's go to national ePoints. These will look a lot the same, just like they do now, where you select the season, you select your category, run the report. These should run a little bit faster than before. All your information is there. All of the columns do have these little arrows, so you can play around with the sort if you wanted to. It's going to mess up the ranking, but you could put cats together or do points from smallest to largest instead of largest to smallest. But that functionality is in there, and you still have the export button, so you can dump that data out into a spreadsheet and play with it yourself. Let me switch here to mobile view. So yeah, here things get a little tough. At least the ranking and the cats and the points do all fit onto a screen typically. You can actually scroll left and right if you need to. So this is really the only time that you would need to scroll left or right inside eCat on a mobile device. Go back. Anytime you need to get back to the home page, the very front page, you just click on the Cat Fanciers logo here at the top, and it always takes you back home. If you do not have an ePoint subscription, there will be just a link here for you to subscribe. We do have some quick actions here on this main screen where you can go straight to registering a cat or registering a litter. We have these info cards that just give you an overview how many cats, litters, catteries, and companion cats you have registered on your account. This is just numbers. There's nothing you can do from these. Let's see here. I think that covers everything on this front homepage. The first thing I do want to go over is the catteries. So if you click on Manage Catteries, your currently linked cattery or catteries will be listed here. If your cattery doesn't show up here, this blue button in the top corner where it says Link Cattery allows you to link your cattery. Here you need to provide your cattery number and the date it was originally registered, not the expiration date, but its original registration date, which is printed on your cattery certificate. This is validation we do to make sure that you have the information. Really, only the cattery owner should know this. When you link your cattery, it will hopefully automatically link. If it does not meet our data verification checks, it will go into a review where staff here will actually look at the eCat account and look at the cattery, and we will either approve it or not approve the linking. You can always contact support@cfa.org if you have any help with that. So linking a cattery is pretty straightforward with that. Under your cattery, you're going to have an action button. A lot of the functions inside eCat uses this action menu. Here, you can download the certificate, which is just a PDF version of the registration certificate. You can actually email it to yourself, or could email it to somebody else, but you generally don't want to do that. And most importantly, here you can get a Cattery Offspring report for free. I can't remember if it was at the last board meeting, one of the recent board meetings. We've decided to offer those as a free report now. You do not have to pay for them, and you can get it instantly on ECAT by clicking on this link. And if I do that right now, I do have one litter registered under this Cattery. This is really key for watching out for any fraudulent activity. You can see if any cats have been used on your, particularly on your Cattery name, and you can keep tabs on things and watch out for any activity that you do not expect to see. And of course, you can export this to a PDF or to an Excel file as well. You'll also, if your Cattery is within the window of needing to be renewed, if you have to renew it every 5 years, I think it's within 60 or 90 days is when you can start the renewal process on those. You'll have here under the actions a renew Cattery option, which will just walk you through paying for the renewal for those next 5 years. I think that is everything to cover under Catteries. Do we have any questions on the Catteries? I think Pam is waving her hand. I don't know if she's got a question.
Yes, I do. James, are you able to have two Cattery names linked into the one ECAT account?
Yes, you could have as many as you want.
Thank you.
But they have to belong. You have to be an owner on the Cattery.
Of course.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to mention about that is that the central office staff will review every request to add a Cattery to an ECAT account to be sure it's a Cattery that's able to be added.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions so far? No, we're good.
Carol has a question.
Carol?
Yes, and it's not my question, but there are some people that have texted me and said they cannot see what's on your screen there. They can hear you talking, but there's no picture of the ECAT screen. And even for the people that are attending, they see blank boxes. I don't know how to fix it.
So yeah, can you see my screen, Allie?
Yes. And others can?
I can too. I can see it.
I'm not having a problem.
Okay, so then I think they may want to leave the meeting and come back in again, perhaps. I'm not sure, but it doesn't appear to be anything we can do on our end.
Okay. Yeah, that can be frustrating because this is very much a visual thing. Yeah, I don't see anything else on my screen.
Well, no, I think most of us are seeing it, so it seems to be just an isolated instance. I think we should. Okay, somebody in the chat room was just saying they have to click on the meeting and look for James Simbrow's screen. If they're on mobile, they need to swipe to get to the other screens. Does that make any sense to anybody who's on mobile? That might be the issue.
Yeah, I could see if you're on a phone or a tablet, that might be an issue. Okay.
Is anybody having any better luck? Hopefully they can.
All right.
I'm checking the chat room.
James.
Yeah, Rich.
Earlier in the chat, somebody has a question that referring to, let me see if I can pull it up. The question is, what about the cats that previously have not shown up in ECATs because they were registered in someone else's ECATs?
I will be getting right to that. Yep, we have a new feature that will address that. Actually, that's the next section. We call it linking a cat. Okay, I guess I will continue on with that. Yes, that is probably one of the number one feature that people have asked for over the years is if you purchased a cat from somebody else, or the cat was registered via like the breeder's account, and now you have the paperwork, and you wanted to put it on your eCat account, it never stopped you from using that cat on eCat. But I understand that people like to consolidate their information in one location and see everything together. So that is what we call linking a cat. And if we go over here to our manage cats, we've got a blue button in the top right-hand corner here that says link a registered cat, a link registered cat. When you click that, it gives you a place to put in the cat's registration number. Depending on how the cat was, what type of cat it was it registered from a CFA litter? Was it registered via pedigree? Or if it's a companion cat, household pet cat, it's going to ask you for some different information. So if I put in a litter cat registration that came from a CFA litter, it's going to ask me for the cat's certificate issue date, which is the date printed on the certificate, and it's the date that the certificate was issued, not the birth date, but the actual issue date. And it's going to ask you for the litter number. Again, only the owner of the cat should have record of that information in that combination. They may, yeah. If it's a foreign registered cat, was registered via pedigree, it'll put the cat's number in there. It's going to ask you for the certificate issue date, and it's going to ask you for the sire and the dam's registration numbers, the foreign registration numbers. Though one of those might be actually a CFA cat with the other parent being from a foreign organization. So it's going to ask you for that information. If it's a companion cat or household pet, that one just asks for the certificate issue date, in addition to the cat's registration number. If all that information matches, it will then link to your account, and it will be listed here under your managed cats. So that's pretty much it for linking a cat, and you can put all your cats on eCat then, and use them for litters. Eventually like use them for entering into a show, doing any of the eCat functions. So that's probably the number one feature that was asked for over the years. We now have that. Any questions about linking a cat?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Would it be possible for you to give us a demonstration on doing it with a CFA registered cat? Because, for instance, the majority of the ones that I would want to link were not registered by me. I do have registration slips for them.
Mm-hmm.
However, I can't say for sure that I would have whatever information you just said we need.
Okay. If you have the slips, you should have all the information. You'll have the litter number and the issue date, which is printed on the front of the certificate. If you needed any of that information, if you didn't have the certificate, contact central office. They would just need to verify a little bit of information, and we could just email you a PDF version of the certificate with that information on it, and be able to, then you'd be able to link the cat to your account. I could do a demo. I would need to get an actual, I don't have a cat. I don't want to use anybody's actual cat to link to the account. But really, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't have a good way to demo that right now, because I've already linked these cats here that I have on my account, using that feature. So, but it really is pretty straightforward, and you can get the information. Okay. Probably the next really neat thing that we've added here under the managed cat. So this here shows the 3 cats that I have linked on my account. We've introduced these tags. So for every cat under the actions, you can do manage tags. And we have some pre-filled out tags here that you can assign to each cat. You can add a custom tag here. So if you wanted to say, you know, I don't know, whatever tag you want to do, you know, you wanted to put all of your tabbies all together, you know, you write a tab called tabby. And then you just select these to add them to your cat. In this case, a for breeding cat. I hit save tags. You can see here, the tag says for breeding. You can have more than one tag on each. Now, if I had all my breeding cats set, and let's see here, I think, let's make this one for breeding cat. So now if I wanted to see just my breeding cats, I click that tag and it filters it out just to those two cats. This will really help for breeders. For if you sell your cats and you register them for your customers, you can mark those cats then as sold and get them kind of like out of your main view. You know, if you did ever wanted to go back and see all your sold cats, you just click on that tag to filter them out. So it's kind of a filing system that allows you, minimize the amount of information you're seeing on the screen based on what you're really looking for. So that's a really neat feature that we added in there. Let's see here. I think that is every here under the cats, of course, you can download the certificate and you can email it to yourself or to, if you're registering the cat for the new customer, you can email their certificate directly to them after the cat's been processed. When you submit,
James, you got 2 questions on the chat.
Okay. I can't see the chat, so
well, actually, there's several. If you have a cat registered by Pedigree and you have 2 co-owners, each with their own cattery number, which cattery will that cat appear on?
Well, cats, that's a common misconception. eCat is not your cattery, and linking your cattery to eCat does not link cats to a cattery itself. The only link between a cat and a cattery is if it is, the cattery is part of the cat's prefix, and you can, put the cat on there. But
an eCat account's like having an Amazon account. Just pretty much.
Yeah, it's just the portal for doing all these services. So you don't have to have, you could have your cattery on here and you could have, 6 cats that, were not part, that you never registered, you never bred out of your cattery, but you purchased from somebody else. I see how people consider that those cats are part of your cattery because they might be part of your breeding program, but they're not really physically, to CFA, they're not tied to your cattery at that level. So hopefully that answers that.
So somebody else is asking, can you add a photo to the cat listing? And if not, that would be a very helpful feature to add.
So So we've got a couple of other features that are not rolling out in this launch that we plan on adding, rolling out separately. We're doing so much in one big chunk that we're trying to make it manageable. We're going to be introducing a feature. It's almost kind of like an electronic filing system. For every cat, you're going to be able to upload documents, pictures, and record a microchip number for each cat. So you'll have you could upload a purchase agreement. These would be like PDF files. You could upload your DNA tests results. You could upload, a picture of the cat. You can record the microchip number for the cat if you have one. You could do vaccination records. And you'll be able to do this on a cat by cat basis. So kind of a little folder for your cats. And you can keep all the information together. Is there another question on there, Eileen?
Somebody was asking if there'll be a link to an online user's guide for all of this, which yes, there will be.
Yeah, we actually plan on doing video. So we're recording this tonight, which we'll immediately put up as a link on this homepage. That's where this a message from CFA, this little welcome. We'll put a link there to the YouTube video of tonight's meeting. Once this is up and running, I'll do individual videos, or I may even just edit this video and give you a breakdown of like litter registration process, cat registration process, cattery linking, and so on. So yeah, we find that videos with demonstrations are much more effective than doing like a written user guide.
Somebody's asking, what are storage limits count for storing these uploaded files? And I think
that's a good question, and that's something we have to give a little more thought to. It will probably be unlimited until it becomes a problem. So if we see the data growing very quickly and very large, we may have to impose some limits on the accounts, and maybe look at some other options. But really, documents like PDFs and stuff shouldn't really take up a lot of space. Pictures can, but we probably would enforce some size restrictions on the pictures, because it's just really not necessary to have a giant picture uploaded. Anything else, Aline?
Well, there's several, but we'll get to them, and we'll actually record. We have a copy of the chat so that we can take a look at all those, get back to everybody.
Okay.
And then,
very good. All right. So let's see. I went through the managing cats and tags. Okay. So the next big change, which anticipate is a bit of a learning curve on, is when you register a litter. We are moving away from yellow slips and blue slips, where since most everything is done online now, we're trying to kind of eliminate that portion of it. It won't be totally eliminated. We're trying to minimize it. Going forward, starting with the launch tomorrow, fingers crossed, everything goes smoothly. Any litters registered online or even here in-house will become what we call a cat track litter. And what cat track is we're giving each kitten on a litter a unique ID number. You kind of almost want to think of it as like a pre-registration number, but it's a reserved slot for each kitten on a litter. So this litter here, you can see on my account that I did 4 kittens there. Well, with this litter, I'll have 4 cat track IDs. A cat track ID cannot be used until it is set up. And what that setup requires is you have to declare its sex, its color, and the breeding rights. Once you have defined those 3 points on a kitten, on one of the kittens, then you can download a registration slip, a PDF, print it off, or email it directly to the new owner. Ideally, though, you have a spot there to put their new owner's email address in, and you can send them a direct email to their email with a link that allows them to complete the registration for that cat. Since you have predefined the sex, breeding rights, and color of the cat, they don't need to type that in. They don't need to know if they had a prepaid registration or a non-prepaid registration, because that's, again, defined in the cat track. And let me go to that here. So this litter here, this one I did, this is a cat track litter. I can download the actual litter certificate, looks just like you would now. I can register a cat directly from this litter, or I can go to Manage Cat Track. And here for this litter, I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got the 4 cat track IDs. These first 2 here, I've already set up. This is a prepaid registration. I did 2 prepaids on this litter. So there's 4 kittens total, 2 prepaids. So these first 2 are the prepaids. I've set the sex and the color and the breeding rights. I emailed this one to myself. And now that this email has gone out, I could go to my email, click on the link, and complete this cat's registration. Once I've started the registration process, you can no longer change this information. So up until the point that the customer has registered the cat or started the registration, you can still change the color, you can still change the sex. If you send this out and go, oh yeah, I really meant to give them breeding rights, you can click yes and hit save, and that would update the breeding rights. But once they start the registration, it is effectively locked out. This next one over here, this one available because again, I've set up with all the criteria to make it an available kitten registration. I've not emailed it to anybody. I could register the cat. I could download the yellow slip. If you're actually going to hand it over to them and just give them the paper copy, you could do that. Back to this real quick on any that you have emailed to the customer. If they say they didn't get the email, or you want to give them a reminder, because this will tell you when the cat is actually registered, you can just go back up here to the email and punch in. Actually, this would normally pre-fill. It should have pre-filled with the email address that you already sent to, and you can send them a reminder email saying, complete your registration. So those are those first 2. Now these last 2 here, these are the non-prepaids that I did on the litter. You notice there's no actions here because I have not set these up. Again, I have to set the sex, color, and the breeding rights. And as soon as I hit save, that is now an available cat. I can email it to the customer, or again, download the yellow, or in this case, download blue slip and print that out and hand it to them. So that is Cat Track. The goal behind this was to eliminate the need for looking up PIN numbers on certificates and providing those to the breeder, to the new owner, because you just kind of control it from here. Pre-do the sex and the color. You can email it directly to them. You don't have to download a PDF and then attach it to an email and then email it to the new customer. Again, you just do it directly from here. This also eliminates, should really help eliminate duplicate registrations. If you register the cat for the new customer, they get their paperwork, and then they go back into eCat and go, oh, I want to add this cat to my eCat account. We ran into a lot of times where people would re-register the cat because they had the litter number. That's what the current registration system just asks for, a litter number, and we would get duplicate registrations. If somebody goes in and punches this litter number into the cat registration process, the system knows that this cat, any kittens from this litter are Cat Track kittens, and it's going to ask for this code. And if they try to punch in that code, it's going to tell them this cat is already registered. So it should really help reduce the chance of duplicate registration.
Okay. So James, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but people have a couple of questions regarding the breeding rights. That's certainly a concern.
Yeah.
And they're wondering, let's see, there's no filter that would eliminate possibility of giving breeding rights to cat that is set up as a neuter spay. But if it's a neuter or spay, it's automatically, it doesn't have breeding rights. Is that correct? Well, neuter spay is not a.
Yeah. If you did neuters, I see. Yeah, this should be. Ideally, this would be gray. We should gray this out so you couldn't actually select anything. Or it should probably default to no. I'll make a note. That's a good catch. That's something I had not thought of. If it's a neuter or spay, and we processed it, it would not get breeding rights. So, but it really should not be an option. So,
Okay. Right out. Okay, I've made a note of that too. And then, all right, so that takes care of the neuter spay. Once somebody had a question about at what point is the kitten named?
Well, the kitten is named when you complete the cat registration process. And now I'll go through that next.
Okay, let's see if once the registration is started, this info is locked in. Can this be manually changed through central office? What if you want to provide breeding rights after the fact? It's a correction, just like it is now.
Yeah, we can always fix things.
Yeah, but it's just as if when somebody sends a registration in and the process starts, it's completed. You can't grab it back and say, no, I didn't want to do that, or I changed my mind. So it's the same scenario. There just needs to be a correction. Let's see.
If it's still under review and you contact somebody in the registration department, a lot of times they can go in there and they can change the information before the registration process has occurred. So yeah, we can, if it gets caught in time, we can do it. But generally it's a paid correction, yeah.
Okay, and a lot of the questions that are coming in at this point are just general registration questions, not really with cat. For instance, what if you want to register as a whole cat, then later decide to alter it? Then there's a process to go through that. If it's been registered in your name, the breeder, you want to change it, it's a correction. You can't go back into cat that has been registered and then start changing the color. It actually has to come through the office as a correction once the cat's been registered. Let's see. And it's the same thing, an older kitten that was bred before it was neutered. How do we correct this? Again, it's a timing thing. If you neuter a cat and then you try to register a litter, it won't go through. You'll need to contact the office just like you would have to. Somebody's asking if it's be possible to name kittens during the cat track process. I tend to keep track of my kitties by name, not the cat track ID.
Well, once the cat's registered, it'll show up under the managed cats. You would not go back to the cat track to see those.
Yeah, I think what they were asking is kind of like a temporary name, the name that they know the cat as, but
we kind of thought of that, but you're going to have a mix of both the breeders and new customers submitting the registrations.
So it's something like a temporary name or fall name, so to speak, before the cat is adopted out. Is that I see Leslie shaking her head? Yes. So we'll look at that, and maybe that's an additional field that we can add.
Yeah, and you don't have to predefine these cats right up front. You can use them as use them as needed. These are just totally, they're just a slot. They don't really define a particular kitten. So I can see the point of being able to.
That would be helpful to the breeder. So that's something we'll take a look at.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else we wanted to address on those before I continue to the cat registration?
There's a lot of questions. But those are basic questions that we'll get. Oh, let's see. It'd be helpful to have that's a helpful hint. Yes. What happens if you need to change the color after the information's been submitted? Once the cat has been registered, then it's a correction that goes through the office, just like it always would be. Just to reiterate, once the registration's actually been processed, you can't go back to cat track and change the information. It's locked in. You can't go back and change the color, change the breeding rights. It's something that would be a corrected certificate. Yeah. Same things, if we check spay or neuter, can a breeder later get breeding rights? Yes, that's a possibility, But again, it has to come through the office once the cat has been registered, once the cat's been individually registered.
Okay.
You just,
All right. Well, let me start a cat registration process. There's multiple ways you can enter the, you could go to this. You could go to the managed cats and start registering a new cat. Here it asks what type of cat you're registering. Is it from a CFA litter where you get, it comes with a litter number? Is it a non-pedigree companion cat? This is where you would register your companion cat, household pet cat from. Or this third option, I want to register my cat, pedigree cat coming from a different registry. Registration would be a pedigree. This currently, if you choose this, this takes you to our online portal for filling out the registration via pedigree form and uploading the required documents. It's a separate, currently a separate website. You kind of leave the ECAT ecosystem and you go over to our electronic filing system to submit that information. We are looking to see if we can kind of integrate it into ECAT so you kind of stay inside ECAT. The company that we work with that does that does have some programming that we can integrate into it. So, but right now it just takes you straight to that form and to complete the registration via pedigree. Once that is processed and you get the registration certificate for your cat coming from WCF or TICA or whatever, you'll be able to link that cat to your ECAT account and keep it on there. So that's how you would enter it from this direction to register a cat. I'm going to do it from the litters. So I'm going back to my cat track litter here. And this one here that I set up, I'm going to go ahead and register this cat. I defined the sex, the color, and the breeding rights for it. And I'm going to say register it. Takes me to the registration screen, and here it pre-fills in the litter number, and here's the cat track ID, which is, again, just a combination of the litter number and that ID number. If you were to give the yellow slip to, I think that was a yellow slip. You gave this yellow slip to the customer and they were to do this online, if they entered in the litter number, it would ask them for this cat track ID number. And that is printed on the slip that you would give them. So they would print that, enter that number in there, and then continue. Hit next. Gives you a little bit of information here about how it was set up. This is a cat track ID. Its status is in process because I've started the process. If I were to go back to this litter now, that litter is locked, that cat track is locked out on the litter. I could not change the color. I can't change the sex or the breeding rights at this point. So once this registration process has begun, that information cannot be changed by the breeder. So get a summary of the litter itself, date of birth, who the sire and dam are, the breed, and the cattery prefix that's coming with the cat. Here it's going to be adding your cattery as a suffix to the cat. You would click that box. You do get a pop-up reminder saying if you are adding the suffix to the cat, one of the owners of the cat must be an owner of that cattery. These are all reviewed in-house, so we would be checking these regardless. So staff always looks to see if the owners list on the cat belong to the cattery. Hit continue.
James, just one, Melanie has a question. I don't know if it's related to this, but while we're...
Sure, Melanie, go ahead.
Well, James, before you get too far ahead of yourself, it's just a note to you. When you pulled up register new cat, you referred to everything as, I want to register a pedigree cat. And the nomenclature is pedigreed cat. It will read better that way.
Okay.
It's that way under all of your options. So you might want to just take a look at that.
Pedigreed. No, good point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let's see here. So in this case, I can't add my suffix to this cat because it's already the prefix, and it would I don't think I don't think I've tested this, and it should not let me do that. It should squawk at you, say you can't have the category suffix that already exists as the prefix. So we will not do that in this case. As you can see here, when I say use add my category as a suffix, it automatically gives you the option to use one of the categories already linked to your account. So if you had multiple categories linked to your account and you wanted to use one of those 2 or 3, you would choose that from here. If you were registering this for the new owner and they were using their category, you would choose the use another category option. And here you would just enter in their category number and hit the lookup, which would just make sure that the name matches what they gave you. So that is for adding a suffix. We won't do that in this case. I'll just hit next. Here's where we give the cat its name. It pre-populates the prefix from the category used to register the litter. It tells you this is 10 characters long, and that includes the space that comes after the category name. If you wanted to add the apostrophe S, you just click that. It adds the apostrophe S, and of course, makes that 12 characters long, and will subtract it from the remaining characters. So this will do a countdown of the characters until you hit 0. And if you go over, it will warn you and say you've gone 7 characters over the name length of 35, and you can back that down to exact what you want. If you did add the suffix, if this is a case where we're adding the suffix, it would have the word of. You would have another box to the right here with the category suffix on there, and it will tell you how many characters that is, and it will, of course, then automatically adjust the cat's name field here to how many characters you have left for the cat's entire name. And it gives you a preview down here, too, of how the cat's name is going to ultimately appear once it's registered. Any questions on the naming? Do you see, Allie? Okay.
No questions on naming. Will it verify that the name has not been already used by that category? With the name of the cat.
We can't, there's no rule that says you can't name every cat in your category the same name. It would be very strange.
Yeah, it would have to be an exact hit between we'd have to look at that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how often that happens. I don't think it happens that often. It would have to be an exact hit, an exact match.
Yeah, it'd be an exact match.
But we'll take a look at that.
Yeah. So, let's get cat. Now we do when staff is reviewing reviewing and processing cat registrations on their screen, they see all of the cats that are registered on that litter previously, and they'll see the cat names. So that's where a lot of times they'll catch duplicates because they'll go to register or process a cat registration, and they'll see on the same litter there's already a cat with the exact same name. So they do catch that. Okay, well, I'm going to continue on here to the next step is providing the owner information. I'm just going to type gibberish in here because it's going to go a lot faster. Got first name, last name, email. When you do, one new thing we actually introduced on the current system, and we now have fully on this revised system, is we do a state and cities lookup based on the zip code. So once you choose, and this only works for United States and Canada. So when you punch in, when you select the United States or Canada and enter a zip code, it automatically looks up the city and state, and actually even the county, though we don't use that, for that zip code. So once I select that, it pre-populates the city and state there. And you just provide the address. So once you have your first owner in there, you click Add Owner. That adds owner number 1 down below. I'm going to add a second owner. I'm giving this a different address, because that's important to show you something else that changed. And, oh, phone number. Forgot that. Okay. I have my 2 owners. You can add up to 4 owners. If I looked at this and go, you know what, I really meant this person down here, it's listed as owner 2 as being owner 1, you can click these little up and down. And now I moved owner 2 to owner 1. You could do vice versa. You had 4 owners. You can move the owners around in the order in which you want them to appear. So once you've completed all the owner information, we click next and you get this pop-up. This pre-populates the certificate owner field. Now, this is how the owners would actually appear on the CATS registration certificate above the address. So if you had 4 people in here, it would have their full names. And of course, it's going to tell you that you've exceeded the 35 character limit. What you would do is then edit these. So you had like first initial, last names for everybody, and make sure you fit within the 35 characters.
And I do have a question from the audience, James, that I just want to, it's about the name of the cat.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody was told a number of years ago the next registration system would not have a limit on the number of characters in a registered name. I don't imagine we ever said that, but
no, that causes massive problems.
Pedigrees. If we had an unlimited number of characters, somebody does print a certificate. It's a pedigree is particularly a problem for anything that's printed. Unless there's some limited character, it just doesn't work for anything that's printed, whether it's a PDF printed or just a registration. So I just wanted to mention that while we were talking about number of characters in a name.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this pop-up lets you edit how you want the names to appear on the certificate for the list of owners. Tells you how many characters remaining you have of the 35. Then you get, if you had 4 owners on here and all 4 owners had 4 different email or physical addresses, you would pick the address you want to appear on the certificate. The system is smart enough that, if this was, say, a husband and a wife, and you entered them, you should enter them as separate people, as separate owners, and the addresses were entered the same on both, it will not give you this option because it will recognize that both addresses are the same. So both of these were entered as 1 Main Street, Alliance, Ohio. It wouldn't even give you this option because it recognizes that there's only 1 address provided. So I want this one to go to 5 Main Street, and you hit continue. This is really kind of the final screen before you get to the review. This looks pretty much identical to the current system, except here I cannot change the sex. I can't change the color. You do set the either long hair or short hair on this, and you want to do the date of sale. If it's a white cat, you will provide the eye color. Other characteristics we rarely use, though sometimes there's special cases.
And we may have drop-down menus for specific breeds for other characteristics, by the way. We are working on that.
Yeah. Breed-specific options. Yeah, and but most importantly, because this was a cat track, this came from a cat track litter, and the breeder has already defined the sex and the color. The user cannot change it. The customer can't change it at this point. This is where if they didn't want to continue, they'd need to get in touch with the breeder and, get that straightened out if they didn't want to complete the registration. Other options, you can opt in or out of any CFA special offers, just like you do now. We do have the expedite option here still. You get up to 2 transactions for $25, 3 to 4 for $35, and so on. It will automatically calculate this. I'm going to go ahead and expedite this. And you click next. After all that information, this is your final review. Any of this information you can change within reason. You can't change like the birth date or anything like that. But if you see that you didn't really like the cat's name, you can click edit, go back to that. You forgot to put an owner on there, you can go straight back to the owners and update the owners. You put an email address in wrong, whatever information you need to change, you can do that on the screen. This is your final review before adding it to your shopping cart.
And James, can you leave the date of sale blank?
No,
you have to put something in.
You have to put something in there because that's what uses to calculate the fee.
Oh, whether it's an early registration or
early or late. So you can see here, because this was a prepaid registration, it's $0. But we do have the $25 expedite fee. If you, at this point, you decided, I really don't want to expedite this, you can remove here under the expedite column, you can click remove, and that will take the expedite off of there. Since there's no money required now, I can simply place the order. And now the cat should, yes, here's the cat that I just submitted. It's pending review for staff to review and do the final process on. When they do the final processing on that, you do get the notification email like you do now that your cat has been processed, and you can return to your eCat account to download the certificate or not. Do whatever you want. Here you can view, the only thing you can do right now is you can actually view the information you submitted. You cannot change it at this point. Once you have submitted it, it's been sent to central office for review. If you contact us, like I said, if you contact us in time before they actually get to processing this, they can make some corrections before they get to that. And they generally do that for no charge, as long as it doesn't require any, editing of said information. Let's see. We did the register account. That was really the last thing of the process. Is we have on the left-hand side here, other options. You've got this, your title confirmations for championship or premiership. That works just like it does now. Though again, a future enhancement, we will give you a little alert on your managed cat screen here. So you took Misty here to a show, and she now qualifies for championship. We'll have a little indicator here that says championship title can be claimed or something, and you can go directly to that. So it will alert you when those cats have qualified, and you can then complete the title confirmation. But that's going to come in as a future release. We've got, of course, ring reports. That works the same. You just order a ring report, choose the season that you're requesting. Ring reports are information at the time the report is ordered, so they do not continually update. So if you order a ring report at the beginning of the season and halfway through the season you want a new one, you'll have to purchase a second ring report for that. Herman Online is Same as good old Herman has always been. You can find grand points, see what title award, what awards a cat may have earned, and see current household pet points if you're competing in that category. You have another. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a question on ring reports. Will ring reports that have been purchased in the old ECATs transfer over?
Yes, they should. They should. Yeah, everything's being pulled over. Any other questions that we wanted to hit up?
Yeah, we had, why is long hair or short hair not in the original cat track listing that's locked in?
Not sure why we didn't do that. That's something we can certainly.
That's another, yeah, okay. That's a good question.
Here.
A lot of times it's pretty specific, but okay.
Yeah, we're always focused on kind of like the things we do the most corrections for is breeding rights and color and sex. You know, that's what we tend to deal with the most. So I think that just kind of overlooked. Even if the wrong, I mean, I know, if you picked long hair for Devon Rex, the registration staff knows that that's not right. It doesn't feed into anything. It gives information to staff. So, but there should be certain cases where that would be wrong if they put the wrong thing. Anything else before?
Okay, just a question. So we are showing the enter a show option, but that's not functioning yet, is it? Is it
Not
showing
yet.
up?
Well, what I just did it. Currently, it takes us to the current online entries form. This is temporary. How do I get back to? Oh, that opened in a new tab. There we go. This is another feature that we're going to release a little bit later here because when we started looking at the current online entry process, Kathy Durdick, our webmaster, what she had built for us was a bit more advanced than what I thought it was. So we want to make sure we build in some of the functionality that she is giving to the entry clerks into this enter a show process. So what this will look like, I will just kind of tell you on a conceptual level is you would click enter a show. You would have a list of shows that you could select from. You can then select your cat right from your eCat account, enter the show. You have, of course, provide a lot of the same information you do on the online entries. You're going to have to do, you of course don't have to really supply the registration number, the cat's name, or the birth date, because it's going to pull that over. You may or may not need to do the color class. We do map a lot of our BCS codes to color classes when we can. So we may be able to automate that, but there's some gray area there. Sex, a lot of this information will get pre-filled in from the cat and owner information, but you'll still need to do agent information. You'll need to show what are you entering in? Are you entering in novice or championship or premiership or such? And all the other information you'll need to provide, but it will pre-populate a lot of that. And then you will enter the show. It's still up to the club running the show and the entry clerk to collect the fees for that. CFA is not getting into collecting entry fees through ECAT, so you'll still need to complete that with the show management.
So it's really right now it's the same as it has been as far as everything.
Yeah, but in the future, yes, you'll be
so in
the same process, but it will save all your information on ECAT. So then you will be able to come back to ECAT and say, did I enter this cat in this show? You'll be able to see that in your list of current entries. So it will give you a place to see what cats you have already entered into a show, and get confirmation. I know that's probably the biggest issue with our current online entry is if you enter a show and you don't receive the email you're not sure if you really entered the show, so you end up entering the show 3 more times.
So let's, yeah, I just want to go back. I'm sorry, but I just want to go back to some of the registration questions.
Oh,
Since
yes.
that's okay, that's in, and we'll, when we enhance entering a show, we can get into that more depth. So there's 2 questions. One is about the date that is put in for the date of sale. I believe that's the field. If you put a date in, what is the time length that new owners have where they have to pay an extra fee? This particular person doesn't usually put a date of sale in because of the extra charge. I believe it's 30 days from the date of sale. And then it increases to the regular price. So we encourage people to register their cats as soon as possible. Then there is a question. Let's see, hold on. As a Manx breeder, we have the option to enter tailed in the memo section when registering, and the cat will automatically be issued an AOV number. Is this still available? Yes. If it's a tailed Manx, we would continue to register cats as always if those other characteristics are in there. I hope that answered the question, whoever was asking. Okay.
I'm glad you're here, Aline, to answer these registration questions.
Okay. I think let's see. Somebody asked, are the owners notified? All right, this is in registering a cat. So once the cat's registered, are the owners notified if the owner's position changes? Example, first owner moving, etc. I think
no, that only happens.
No.
Yeah, that is not a change to the cat's record at that point. That's just the application for the registration. You can't move the owners around after the cat's registered. That's just the application process.
Let's see about option for 2 names for the cat. Well, 2 things. One, somebody mentioned about the nomenclature of blue slips and yellow slips is pretty outdated. A lot of people don't know what they are. We even have gotten away from printing blue slips and yellow slips. So yes, I've made a note of that. We are going to we'll call them, application for registration and then a prepaid. So it's just an application. We're getting away from that. But somebody also mentioned, is there an option for 2 names for the cat, like the first and second choice? Currently on the applications, we have a first and second choice. I'm not sure how often
it never really is ever used.
A second choice.
Yeah, because we allow you, the only criteria on a cat name is, there's, vulgar words, and there's certain, things you can't use. We would just put the cat on hold at that point anyhow. We're not going to really go for a second choice. So it's kind of I think it's a legacy thing that back in the day, you gave people 2 name choices. I'm not sure if there were some registration rules that you weren't allowed to name the cat the same name, but that's.
Yeah, I think so 2 pet buyers can name the kitten the same name, not if it's within the same litter.
Right, not within the same litter, no. Staff would catch that.
Yes, we would catch that. And I know that people are concerned about duplicate names. We experience difficulty in finding cattery names. I think if we start to limit what people can name their cats and trying to avoid some duplication, it's going to become very difficult. And I think, there's a lot of cats that they're not used for breeding. They're not being shown. They're pretty much pets. So if, you make us aware of a duplicate name that's an issue, it's something we can address.
Okay.
Any other questions? I know in some of the other things we have, breed council, it just doesn't affect that many people.
Right, yeah.
If you're a breed council member, you know what that is and what that's.
we've included some information within ECAT that might be useful for some people. These are just the current council list and then the club status list. There's just information, nothing that you can do. You can't renew your breed council on here yet. We've talked about doing that, but that's down the road. Yeah, I think that covers all of the functions within ECAT. And some of the new things that we still have yet to release. We're planning on flipping the switch on this tomorrow. This will either happen sometime in the morning or by midday. If we run into some type of technical issue, we're not going to launch it like at 5 p.m. But I don't anticipate anything, super major.
And when we do the launch, neither system will be available. So the old ECAT system won't be available, nor will the new ECAT. Is that correct, James?
Well, no, the old ECAT will become not available, but the new ECAT will, it'll be up. When we make the switch, it'll be over, cut over. Okay. What you may happen is, again, it depends on your part of the world, your part of the country. What's called DNS settings may not update, so you may still get the old website, but you're going to get a page that says, the ECAT is down for maintenance right now. You won't actually be able to physically get into ECAT, but you may see the actual, a page until the DNS records update across, the entire internet, and then you would get directed to the new site, which the login. Let me sign out here. So this, it looks very similar to the current login, though we do have separate links for if you forgot your password or forgot your username. We used to have just one link that you recovered either from, but here, if you know your username, you can get your password. If you forgot your username, use that first and then password.
So just a couple more questions. Sure. Can you register a litter and prepay? Once a litter is in, does it take you to the credit card payment option? Yes. That's just, you'll be able to pay as you register.
And I think that's one thing I forgot to mention during the litter registration process. So if you register your litter, you have the option of registering some of those kittens as part of the litter registration process. So when you get to the end, it will say, hey, you have 2 prepaids on this litter. Do you want to go ahead and register one of the kittens? You can say yes. You would submit all the information, just like you would on the cat registration screen. That cat then will go into kind of a pending status, because if the litter does not automatically process due to, again, we do data verification on ownership. If the litter doesn't automatically process, then that cat has to wait for the litter to be processed. Then once the litter's processed, staff will be alerted that cat can now be registered. So we do that all as one thing. So no longer having to register the litter, wait for it to be approved, and then go back and register your kittens. You can submit all the information in one sitting.
And there's a question, do you still have to have a subscription to view ePoints? Yes. ePoints is still a paid offering, a subscription.
And you'll soon be able to actually pay and activate that subscription right within ECAT. Right now, you have to go to the catalog to pay for it. And then staff actually has to update your subscription. That's going to be a paid service right inside ECAT. So if your ePoints expired, you'll be able to renew it, pay for it right there, and have immediate access to ePoints.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Because we will be looking at the chat window. So if we missed anything, apologies. But we will have all of your comments. They've been great comments, very helpful. And we may be reaching out and just asking for a few more details from you if we don't quite understand what you're asking. Okay, so tomorrow when we launch, when we start the launch of the new ECAT, a notice will be put out on the Facebook discussion page and also a news announcement to let you know that it's happening. So if we have any announcements to make, we'll use those two options to get the word out to everybody. Any other questions? Okay.
Great.
Thank you, everybody, for joining tonight. We really appreciate it. You know, if you have comments as this continues and tomorrow, please email us at support@cfa.org. You know my email address, you know James's. So if something comes up, you know, drop us a line, and it's something that we can do in the future, or if it's something immediate, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, if there's immediate issues with the launch, there's a good chance we're already going to be aware of a lot of them and working on them. So if you don't get a reply right away, that means we're probably, you know, trying to get things rectified and up and running if we run into any issues. But fingers crossed, it goes smoothly.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you all for attending, and thank you, James and Arlene.
Thank you. Bye.